The last fortnight has seen the launch of the OnePlus Nord at £380. Decent performance in camera with just Qi charging, stereo speakers and an always-on display, arguably missing from what one might want from a top smartphone. But at the price, these omissions can be forgiven. It's still a good recommendation and a competitor to the Poco F2 Pro, which I covered in detail back in Phone Show 397. But £380, that's still a significant amount for someone to stump up when there are obvious flagshipy things missing. Now, Xiaomi just sent over their Redmi Note 9 Pro for review. About £270 for the 128GB version here, 2/3 of the Nord's price. It too lacks those big three features just mentioned. Compared to the OnePlus Nord, the Redmi Note 9 Pro here adds a bigger battery, a 3.5mm audio jack, a micro SD expansion slot and a proper capacitive fingerprint scanner. Hang on a minute, it's adding all this but it's 2/3 the price, so what gives? In fact, not a lot. You arguably get quite a bit more here for less money, and the OnePlus Nord itself was already reckoned to be quite good value for money by most pundits. But there's got to be a catch, surely. Can the Redmi Note 9 Pro really deliver the goods? Well, on the whole, yes, I've been really impressed by this device. For under £250 for the 64GB version, you get a streamlined Gorilla Glass 5 sandwich design, a Snapdragon 720G chipset with 6GB of RAM and UFS 2.1 storage plus microSD expansion as needed. A 6.7-inch 1080p LCD display that's excellent, though not as bright as the very best. I'm thinking iPhone 11 or iPhone XR here. A decent quad camera, of which more in a moment, a 3.5mm audio jack, yay, driven by the Snapdragon 720G's DAC, which is pretty good. An FM radio, NFC for Google Pay, Bluetooth 5.1, a proper capacitive fingerprint scanner on the power button, that works instantly. A massive 5,000 mAh battery that almost gives the phone a true 2-day battery life per charge. Considering all of this, I think that's super value for money. The biggest hurdle for me is possibly the mono speaker, which pales compared to my £200 Moto G8 Plus's stereo pair. But the Redmi speaker is still pretty good. This is a demo at full volume. There's some bass, there's some fidelity, it's just not very loud, and it's mono. But that's my hang-up. Your hang-up might be the use of MIUI 11 on top of Android 10, but it's fine. I do have other Xiaomi handsets which have now received the MIUI 12 update, and this is significantly smoother and gentler. Plus MIUI 12 is due as an update to the Redmi Note 9 Pro within a month, I'm told, so it'll get better and better. July 2020 security did come through during the review period. Then there are some Xiaomi apps which need, well, moving around, shall we say, and some Google apps that need, well, promoting. And true, the option to enable Android 10 full screen gestures isn't exactly prominent, but after a little fiddling, the phone really is, well, there. Gestures, dark mode, a zillion customization options. You get a 33-watt multi-voltage, multi-standard fast charger in the box, which is very nice indeed. You also get this rather nice smoked TPU case that's very protective in terms of raised sides and a ridge around the camera island. Imaging is, of course, where some phones at this level do fall down, but the Redmi Note 9 Pro seems more solid here than you'd expect. Xiaomi's image processing algorithms have improved markedly in recent years. The 64-megapixel main camera outputs 16 megapixels, of course, with very good results indeed. See the examples here. Just don't expect any pure view zoom into the quad Bayer sensor, since this just doesn't work. I've noticed this with most quad Bayer setups, by the way. It's as if the zoomed output is digital from the 16-megapixel raw image rather than actually using the sensor subpixels. Maybe this isn't technically possible. One up for the Nokia 808 and Lumia 1020 back in the day, which could zoom in on the sensor in real time. The wide-angle shooter is 8 megapixel and also works well, though the dynamic range isn't quite as good, while the focusing 5-megapixel macro lens is surprisingly useful. Again, see these examples. The depth camera, the fourth camera, is used to bring various arty light trail and blur effects, so options all round and plenty to play with and great fun. Now, not all Chinese-made phones have NFC and Google Pay support, of course, but this is a proper Western market model, and it's all present and correct, along with an FM radio chip and an infrared beamer. Now, there's a throwback to the past. I've never been a huge Xiaomi fan, partly because phones of the past missing out things like that aforementioned NFC, but with phones like the Redmi Note 9 Pro, they're making a believer out of me. Now, I could complain at not having stereo speakers or not being officially waterproof, but this is just being picky and churlish. For under £250, the Note 9 Pro here from Xiaomi Redmi is definitely good value. Maybe not the perfect phone for you, the phone geek, but it's the money-saving pick to head for when your partner, mum or dad, or older teenager needs something new. This is the Redmi Note 9 Pro.